am I handling my 10-year-old way differently at 52 than I was handling my 10-year-old at 35? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm more mature, I'm sober. That's a huge part of it, which I could never look myself in the mirror and say that's what I needed to do to fix it. Yes, many of people had told me I needed to fix it, and I used to tell them to go fuck themselves. Welcome to another episode of Kaizen Kast, Small Steps, Big Changes. I'm your host, TJ DelVecchio. I want to go back to what I was talking about last week about gambling and my stories and the addiction part of it. I spoke about it, but I didn't give you guys any solutions for how I handled it. So I want to kind of recap that and give you a couple things that kind of I did my own way. Again, you guys all know this. I don't do things normal ways. Like with the opioids, I quit cold turkey. Don't suggest it. Didn't go to rehab. Kind of handled them. It's just the way my mind works. But with the addiction part of gambling, and I hate to use the word addiction because that'll lead into what I'm going to talk about next. But like, I hate to use that word because I think the addiction compulsive part with a lot of high end achievers have that part in their brain or their life or whatever you may call it. But what I did to kind of get my mind away from stuff that I was doing, I was basically killing myself and stuff that was hurting my body, hurting my mind. You don't sleep well when you're gambling and you're winning and you're losing, and then you're sitting on a $10,000 loss from the night before and you're trying to think, how am I going to get that money back? It distracts you from everything that you're trying to do throughout the day, and you focus on that, and that's all and then you perseverate on it. It's nonstop. So what I did was I quit drinking. I got rid of the opioids, but then I started getting back in the gym. That's the number one thing. Then my diet changed. That's the number two. Then I started taking supplements every single day. Along with my supplements, I take zinc and magnesium, which magnesium at nighttime helps you sleep, which I never slept because my brain never shut off when I was doing all these things that I was killing myself with. So with all those things put together, going to the gym, taking my supplements, eating properly, which I started doing intermittent fasting. We had hired a dietitian. Putting all that stuff in play has changed my life drastically. It's made me think clearer. It's helped me stop thinking about doing the shit that I was being led by the devil and my own self internally, because it just leads you to anger. It leads you to frustration. That constant battle and that constant cycle that you're in every single day, you can't get out of. That's why I always say, it's like, oh, everybody says, oh, let's just go to happy hour. And your happy hour on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. It starts on Thursday and you go into Friday, and then some guys are like, hey, you want to grab a drink at happy hour? It's Wednesday. And on Wall Street, it's every day. Like personally, I could have been on any day of the week. I could grab a drink with anybody. And not that I didn't have fun doing it. There's a lot of good guys out there that can handle it for, 2-3 drinks. But for me personally, couldn't stop. So I wanted to kind of give you guys a little bit of that background of my solution part of it. And there was days, and there still is days, that I battle with not so much thinking about gambling or drinking. It's more about controlling my anger or my stress, that I'll work out twice a day because I want to almost run myself to the point where I'm going to pass out, because it just relieves all that pressure on me, because I'm a pretty amped guy. And I'm actually, my highs are really high and my lows are usually pretty low. That's basically how my career went too. I would have 3 for 4 games, and then I have 4 for 4 games. I would go on these crazy streaks of hitting, and then boom, I go into a slump, and then I go back. It was just pretty much that's how my life's been. And now it's a little bit more steady. And what I've realized is taking all that shit out, because again, me personally can't control that part of my life. And it took me a very long time to understand that. And it took me a very long time including the last year, to fully admit that to myself, that that's the stuff that was killing me. Now, I'm sure there was people along the way that had told me that and they tried to help me through it, but I was just not ready. Just not ready. But now I'm in a place again where sleep is so important. I never, even when I was in college, there was no way that I got 8-9 hours of sleep. Never. I was always up. Even when I was playing independent league ball, we'd be in the hotel rooms. Guys would sleep until 11, 12 o'clock. I'd be up at 8:30. We'd play until the games would get over 9:30, 10, sometimes 11. Be very, very late, and I would get up 6:30, 7 o'clock. I don't know why my brain does it, but I couldn't sleep. Now, things are a little bit different. Even when I'm stressed, I still find a way to get 7, 8 hours of sleep because it's the best thing for you. Sleep, taking your supplements, eating proper meals, not too big, not too small, getting your protein in. All that stuff helps the mental state and the stress in your life. So that's kind of like a recap of, the gambling part. And here's one other thing too. My stories that I tell you are true stories, and I'm not telling you to brag about them because they usually end horribly. Okay, like it's not like, oh, I won 90,000 and then I won 600 grand. No, usually me losing and then losing more and then losing more, and I could never get out of that cycle. Now, I'm not telling you this because I'm bragging about myself. I'm telling this to help you. And I know there's friends of mine that have won more, lost more. It's just part of life. And I'm not using that as like, oh my God, I can't believe he lost, $130,000 in 2 weeks or whatever it was, 3 weeks. Like the numbers don't matter. It's just the feelings that you have, the highs and lows from it. And that's what I kind of wanted to get at you. I mean, there's millions of guys out there that have bigger and better stories. Totally fine. But I'm just sharing mine with you so you guys understand that. Now, the part that I really want to touch on too, I thought about this, when people use the word addiction, right? You could be addicted. Like I feel I'm addicted to working out now. But we don't call that an addiction. We call that healthy. So when things are bad, we use the word addiction. When things are good, so I could work out 3 times a day now. It's just the way my mind works. And I want people to understand that you're better off going down that road, going right than going left. But I hate when we label things like when people have an alcohol problem, that addiction of drinking, this addiction to drugs, this addiction to smoking. We understand people that have addictive personalities. Those people too can be some of the most successful people. You're not going to tell me that Michael Jordan doesn't have an addictive personality. That guy works harder than anybody. I idolize that guy. And I watched him play in college. I got to watch him play pros. And I actually was invited to his golf outing a long time ago, and I did see him, and I watched him play blackjack at a very, very high level. Everything he did was big, but he worked his ass off to be the best basketball player there ever was. So is that an addictive personality? So that's kind of like where I always toss these questions up to myself at nighttime. So because I'd much rather be someone that has that kind of drive than someone that just says, I don't want to do anything or try anything or take risks. I'm not saying that you're supposed to go and dabble in all the bad shit. It's just, it happens to be in front of us a lot more, and we're surrounded by it a lot more than people talking about, hey, this guy worked out at 4 o'clock like Kobe, worked out 4 o'clock in the morning, then he was back in the gym at 7 o'clock in the morning, then he was shooting foul shots at 11, then he was back at the gym at 2. So that's an addictive personality, but he was fantastic. Do we applaud him for that? Or do we say, wow, he had a problem? No, he wanted to be great at what he was doing. I think, and then when we get led into something that's, the word I'm looking for is, it starts as entertainment, but because of our personalities are so addictive to winning and wanting the best and wanting more, it turns into a job that actually you'll never win at. And that's the difference. So I wanted to touch base with that. I want you guys to think about that a little bit. And then this next part that I want to talk about, it's something, there's a couple things that'll lead into it. But first of all, I just got a text from one of my buddies up north who I haven't spoken to in a bit. And I was just going back and forth with him. And he literally just told me, he goes, I said, how you doing? He said, I'm doing great. He goes, I just want to let you know, I haven't drank in 30 days. I can't tell you enough how much that means to me, because we're being in the world of Wall Street. It's not the easiest thing. I'm not saying that people haven't quit and don't, but it's just in our face a lot more, and still being up there and being around it. And for him to quit, it just shows that, you can do anything if you put your mind to it. And I just wanted to say congratulations, and I hope you stick with it. He said he's never felt better. He's sleeping great. Again, we think, well, at least I used to think that when I went to bed, I would have 3 or 4 drinks that usually turned into 7 or 8 drinks. That would help me sleep. That doesn't help you sleep. That races your mind more. You don't get to full REM. Like you're never getting there. So that's why you always wake up the next day feeling like shit, along with the fact that alcohol has poison. It's poison, right? So you're putting that in your body. We're getting older. We're getting fatter because we're not working out. We sit in chairs a lot. So all that adds up. And truthfully, I hate to say it, but that's really what our government wants us to be: fat, lazy Americans, and not go after what we're really supposed to be going after, is our dreams. Now, again, I only say that because if you look at our country and where we are today, it's a lot different than it was, 30, 40, 50 years ago, with the way people ate, the size of the plates that we get, even when you go to a restaurant. All that stuff takes a toll. What they cook with, the oils, everything. So I just want everybody to understand that I feel like the cards are stacked against us, and I'm making these changes, and I truthfully wish that I had made these changes way back when I was in high school. Listen, I'm my mom's old school Italian. She cook all day, all night, and she's awesome at it. She still does it, and she'll give you as much as you want. But that was a downfall for me because, again, addictive personality. I'll just eat. I'll keep eating. All right, more pasta, more meatballs, more pasta, more meatballs. That was me. Anything I did was over the top. And this is what I'm trying to teach. And by the way, the crazy thing is that my parents gave me everything. They gave me everything. That's why I told you I came from an unbelievable household. My dad was one of the hardest working guys. God rest his soul. I'm truly blessed that I was able to spend as much time as I did with him. But he never said boo, and he never said no to me, ever. It was always like yes. And I was the baby, and I have 2 older brothers. One's 7 years older, one's 10 years older. And things were a little bit different back then, and then until I came around. So I got everything. And this leads me into kind of like what I want to talk about today. And I felt like it needs to be addressed because I find we all do this as parents. We all do this. Whether you make a little bit, medium size, or a ton of money, it doesn't matter. We all do this because what we try to do is give more than what our parents gave us. And our parents gave us a shitload. And again, I'm not speaking for everybody because I know there's just people out there that had a tough time. So, and that I am sorry for. But for where I'm coming from and the people that I know, a lot of them had unbelievable childhoods and they got everything they ever wanted. So what do we do as parents? Well, if I got everything I wanted, that's what I did for my kids. And then what does that show our kids though? That when times get tough, they've never had to face adversity. Just like with me, with the Major League Draft. I played on the winningest teams. You played championships, blah, blah, blah. Nonsense. I didn't face adversity literally because I worked very hard too to get myself in college on that field every single day. But when it came time for that draft and I didn't get drafted, that was the first time I fell flat on my face. And instead of being able to handle it, what did I do? Go in a tailspin for 25 fucking years. Wow. So what am I doing? And now I'm thinking about this over the last couple days and going, well, I was doing the same thing to my kids as my parents were doing to me because we love our kids so much, right? Like I love my kids more than anything in this whole world. And I just had this conversation with my youngest son, Mason, today about being entitled. Like they're on to the next thing before we finish the fun thing that we're doing already. It's almost to the point where like, I can't even believe that like, if we go somewhere, they're already thinking about, wait, what's going to be the next fun thing? And what's going to be the next fun thing? And can I get this? And don't worry about it. Can I get, no, money doesn't grow on trees. And sometimes, actually not sometimes, more than not, we should be saying no so they can understand the value of a dollar, value the fact that sometimes, you know what? You gotta work a little bit harder to achieve that stuff. And then when they do that, then that's when they get a reward or get something that they want. Not just hand it to them. Because if we continually hand it to these kids, then guess what? They're not going to know how to deal with adversity when they get, especially being in their late to mid 20s and they're supposedly being adults. Like you may have a child by the time you're 30, maybe 35, and they're not even okay to be able to handle themselves. Was I? I mean, I had babies when I was 25, 26 years old. I don't know if I was ready to have, am I blessed? My kids are amazing. They're all healthy. They're all doing great. But am I handling my 10-year-old way differently at 52 than I was handling my 10-year-old at 35? Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm older, I'm wiser, I'm more mature, I'm sober. That's a huge part of it, which I could never look myself in the mirror and say that's what I needed to do to fix it. Yes, many of people had told me I needed to fix it, and I used to tell them to go fuck themselves. That's the truth. I wasn't ready to deal until I realized that, you know what? I'm going to die, literally, if I don't fix this. So that's what I did. But really what I wanted to tell you is that this is so important that we take a minute to spend more time talking to our children and not just handing them shit because they want the new sneakers or they want the new whatever, the glove, and it's easier said than done, and I'm at fault. I always take accountability for my mistakes. I apologize, and I try to fix it. That's why I like being an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs, that's what you have to do. You have to fix. You just don't sit back. Somebody's not going to fix it for you. If you want something done, you have to fix it. So the accountability part is absolutely huge for me. Absolutely huge. And my kids all have that, but could I have done a better job of not just, especially when I was rolling in the money? Oh man, yeah, absolutely. Would I do it differently? Probably. At the time, was I happy? I was yes, because I was pouring my heart out thinking that this is what you're supposed to do. And I was wrong. Everything in life has balance. If we don't have balance, then everything gets off kilter. So it's just like the thing with money and stress. Those things go hand in hand. And I'll share one last thing with you guys. Last night, and I tell you this all the time, the last 3 years have been stressful financially, but we're getting through this, and we're going to come out the other end, and it's going to be great. And it already is. Because last night, I felt like we got kicked in the nuts again with our rental property, and something happened, and I was like, man, can we take any more of this? And then Lori and I went to bed last night, and she started stressing about it. And I'm like, you know what? We've been through so much over the last 3 years. There's nothing to stress about. We're going to get through this. We'll find a way. And she digs deep. She researches. She does all this stuff. And then the light bulb went off that a gentleman that I met, he was coming to pick up some, we have some stuff in the garage that he was going to use for his rental. Found out he has like 10 rental properties. I called him, asked him a question about our situation. He's like, wait, let me refer you to the person it actually happened to, because it never happened to him. We spoke to the young lady today, and it was like, I felt like I made $1 million. The stress that was relieved off our shoulders. We thought maybe we would have to sell one of the houses. We weren't sure exactly what the outcome was going to be. And guess what? The outcome is it's not that big of a deal. So I always tell you this because my younger days, I stressed about everything. I stressed about phone calls. I stressed about, am I going to be there on time? Sometimes, listen, I always want to be early. I don't want to be walking into a meeting late. It's just not who I am as a person. But like, I don't stress about these things anymore, or at least I try not to. Before, every single day, my stress level was through the roof. And I told her, just relax. Just relax. Everything's going to work out. And guess what? It worked out. And I tell you this all the time. 85% of the stuff we worry about, maybe 90%, it never comes true. But I just told this to my oldest son yesterday. I said, Tommy, if you want to be an entrepreneur, what you're going to do is solve problems every single day. There's a lot of people out there that work for companies that they solve problems for, but they don't solve problems for themselves when it's your own money. And that's the difference being an entrepreneur and running your own business and doing it. You don't have any days off. Dana White said it best. Everybody's like, oh, I want to work for myself so I can make my own hours. You don't have, we work every single day, my wife and I. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's always something going on with the houses. There's something going on with the podcast. There's always something going on. There's something going on Wall Street during the middle of the week. It never stops. But you know what? I love it. I'm grinding like I've never grinded before outside of like training for baseball. It brought me back to my roots. It sucks because we're going backwards a little bit, but we're going backwards to go forwards. And most importantly, everyone, we have happiness, our health. We're not living in the street. We live in the best state. It's sunny every day. We get vitamin D. Like, there's all these things that I missed because all I cared about was the money. And my life was one-sided. Now it's completely different. And I think, honestly, God, I brought him back into my life. And I really think that he's just making sure that I understand that now. Understand to appreciate money, because again, this goes all the way back to when I was a little boy, that I didn't value dollars back then. I didn't value money, because I'll tell you one quick story. When I was about 9 years old, we used to have the ice cream truck that came around, Jody Ice Cream, man. My dad gave me, back then, everything was 50 cents to $1, sometimes a quarter, right? Like, so $1.25. He gave me $10 because he's like, this is all I have in my wallet. They used to let me get ice cream almost every night. He'd come out after dinner and he'd go around the neighborhood, ring the bell. And we actually knew him. And he gave me $10. I chased him down the street. I came back with 50 cents. I bought more ice cream and shit and candy. And my father was like, what happened? My father barely yelled because he never really raised his voice to me. But my mother gave me a tongue lashing, and then she yelled at Jody Ice Cream Man for allowing me to buy $10 worth of fucking shit. So go back all the way to when I was 7, 8, 9 years old. I don't remember exactly when it happened. Not valuing a dollar and just wanting more and wanting more and wanting more. That's not good. If you use your mind to want to achieve something, you can achieve anything you want in this world. Anything. You're going to get there's going to be a lot of barriers. There's going to be a lot of hurdles. But I always tell my kids, you jump over the hurdle, you get knocked down, you jump over that hurdle again. You get knocked down, you jump over that hurdle, because that's the only way you're going to win. That's the only way you're going to win this game of life. And a lot of people surrender. They think when they get to be 50 years old or 60 years old that, oh, my life, they surrender. Hell no, not me. Because that's the other part of it that I tell you that's super important to me, that at being at 52, I feel like I'm 32 now, the shape that I'm in, because I want to live to be 102, but not 102 on life support, 102 that I'm still walking and being able to see my grandkids and see them grow up to be young adults. I don't want people waiting on me hand and foot when I'm, 78 years old, or something like what happened to my dad, losing my dad at 67 years old, and he worked his ass off his whole life. No fucking way. I got a second chance on life. I was destroying myself, and I'm going to work really hard to be that person and show my kids that this is the way you're supposed to do it, not the old way. The old way of, no, we go out for drinks and then we go out afterwards, and then I got to go out for work, and yeah, you do have to work hard, but it doesn't mean you have to bring in all the other bad shit that goes along with it. That's the thing that I want to stress. And it's really, really important that you take a step back and just take a deep breath and slow things down and actually think about your life that way, versus being in this rat race that we're going 185 miles an hour every single day, checking the next box, making sure the to-do list is over, and getting, because guess what? It's going to be there tomorrow. It's going to be there tomorrow. So please take away the fact that for this episode that, again, recapping that part about gambling and how I turned that part of my life. That happened with everything though. Like once I cleaned up the drinking, the pills, and then the gambling, the other stuff kind of fell into place pretty easily for me. I always tell my buddy, one of my good friends that we played college ball with, a few of them, I always just say, I'm coachable. If you lead me down this path, I'm coachable and I'm going to be great at it. Now, I can be great at being the best drinker too, and I can be great at being, the best person to, gamble and lose lots of money, and I can dive right in. I don't want to do anything small, but I can be the best person because I'm coachable and get down this road and really, really teach people around me, young kids, maybe some adults, touch some people's lives to help them and understand that, you know what, life's not perfect, but if you go down this path and you're in a great mindset and not worry about what everybody else thinks, fuck them. That's another thing. Forget about what everybody else thinks. It doesn't fucking matter. It doesn't matter. All right, guys. Thank you very much. I look forward to our next episode. Please follow us on all our social media pages, and have a great night. Thank you.